The first few game weeks in FPL are when bragging rights are at an all-time high. It could be a very good start for you, laughing down at your opposition.
Like it!
Or it could be complete failure. But the problem is, it is quite hard to get everything right at the start of the season. Which one of Chelsea's 20 signings will actually play? How many hat-tricks is Andy Carroll going to knock in straight away? All the questions yet to be answered. But what if I told you we didn't have to know? I bring to you the Game Week 5 Wildcard strategy. Now first I need to mention some important dates to see why this strategy will be very, very popular. Game Week 4 starts October 3rd. And finishes soon after. Sky and BT still having a bit of a scrap over the TV schedule, so we don't quite know when it'll finish. Then the Premier League international transfer window officially ends October 5th. Then Game Week 5 doesn't start until October the 17th. Now you notice there's a little bit of a gap, which is for international games for the international break. So, I ask you this simple question. What if you set your team up for, say, the first 10 weeks, but then last minute in the transfer window, Messi comes to City, Sancho to United, and the true GOAT himself, Brewster, gets a loan? Are you prepared to potentially have to rethink your players that looked very good options at the start, but now things are completely turned on their head, and they're not a good idea anymore? For example, if Sancho does come to United, then Greenwood is a green no. But another reason for playing your wildcard here is you have extra time to think about it during the international break, where a lot of FPL managers will be smashing their wildcard button then to change up their team, where the international break is usually when a lot of managers play it. There is also another international break, game week 8 to 9, which is also a good time to wildcard, but for now we're just going to have a chinwag with the first break. So let's say we are definitely going to wildcard, ready to go into game week 5. That instantly changes our plans right now, straight away. Now you only have to look at the first 4 fixtures and you can block out the rest. Don't even have to worry about if teams play well or not. You can just focus on the first 4. Now all of a sudden, Mitrovic doesn't look as good. Antonio could be quite good. A lot of changes to your initial picks. So now let's introduce you to a draft created by yours truly. Tunnel vision for the first 4 games. I would say if you are going to go full out just for the first 4, you might not even have plans to bring in the United or City Manchester players, and you might just want to wait till your wild card, especially with more transfer business to potentially be done, such as Sancho and Messi, and Mbappe to Newcastle, of course. But starting in goals with, are you ready for this? Sam Johnstone of West Brom. Yes. West Brom don't have the worst fixtures, playing Leicester at home, then Everton, Chelsea and Southampton. Now you might be thinking that the Bromwich would have to be really lucky and play really well to get 1 or 2 clean sheets here. But West Brom were solid defensively in the Championship, having almost the most clean sheets, along with the keeper making almost the most saves. If West Brom were to keep any clean sheets in these games, it would probably require Big Sam here to pull out all of the saves, not only getting the save points from them, but also expecting West Brom to not know where the goal is, not score many goals, meaning the keeper is more likely to get the bonus points if they get any. And if, let's say, he keeps 2 clean sheets in these 4 games, pulling off 6 saves, he's much more likely to get bonus points and would actually be likely to have more points than a keeper that had 4 clean sheets in 4 games but didn't have to make any saves. So I'm not saying go for the worst team's keepers just for those save points, because you still need clean sheets, but just for the first 4 weeks, I can see Sam here doing bits, also not on a lot of people's radars. And remember, this is a draft heavily focused on the first 4, meaning you can make a few more risks if you really want to at the start, then analyse later on who is the better pick for your wildcard. Moving on to defence. Now you will notice that a lot of these picks are popular regardless of fixtures, just because they are very good players. But the fact they also have great fixtures means they're even better. Starting defence with Sir Trent Alexander. Leeds up first for him, then the sometimes wibbly-wobbly Chelsea and Arsenal, finishing with Villa in the first 4. We all know what Trent can do in FPL. Get a 24-point haul against a tough Leicester team, easy business for him. So even when the Liverpool defence isn't super glued together and actually solid, he can still get those attacking returns. And if both happen at the same time, that's massive points from him straight away. That's why he's in. Moving on to a very, very risky, probably a wait and see, especially with pre-season. It's Chelsea's Reece James. Now with Chelsea making the defensive signings they have, especially Ben Chilwell, it could mean James loses minutes to Azpilicueta. But if it's looking likely James starts, 5 mil is a very good price for a very attacking fullback that could get a lot of clean sheets. I know, I said a lot of Chelsea clean sheets, even with Butterfingers, Kepa in goals. But they still managed to keep 9 last season with the bad defence, so what could they do with a good defence? So maybe they can improve. Yes, it is risky, but again, if it doesn't work out straight away, easy swap away in the wildcard. Next to him being another James, another one. It's James Justin. Opening 2 fixtures to West Brom and Burnley, and not really well known for scoring. Then Man City could be tough, but then West Ham straight after. James Justin is only the cheapy 99p cheeseburger price that he is, because he is usually just a backup. But if Pereira is still out, then he won't be a backup and he will be starting. So at the start could be one of the best budget options. Finishing the defence with Kyle Walker-Peters. Now a lot of people are going with McCarthy in goals, who I actually prefer. But like we said, Sam Johnstone can get all the save points, where Kyle Walker-Peters not only gets the Southampton clean sheet points, but could get a few handy assists there too, with loads of great attacking players to assist. Opening fixtures are against the low-scoring Palace, Burnley and West Brom, with Spurs being the other fixture who, on their day just like the Parker bus instead. So Walker-Peters at 4.5 million could be a very great option, and probably one of the best in terms of fixtures. Moving on to midfield, where the big boy money will be flexed on y'all. Starting with Mo Salah. Especially in terms of fixtures, he is one of the first names on the team sheet for everyone. Not just spackers that don't even know what they're doing as well. But Mo Salah means more points, where he opens up against Leeds. A player like Salah doesn't even need fixtures as well, but especially with Bruno and De Bruyne not playing Game Week 1, he's the top midfielder to start with. With the biggest contention for that number 1 choice spot being Aubameyang! Thankfully though, we can choose both of them, even after they leave a massive hole in your wallet afterwards. But Aubameyang opens up to newly promoted Fulham and then West Ham, where even though he has 2 harder fixtures after, doesn't mean he can't score. You will get an extra FPL point for scoring this year compared to last year, as he's now listed as a midfielder, meaning he could actually fight to actually be the highest scoring player in FPL this season, not just in the first few weeks in his good fixtures. He does also have that price where you could make him any other player if you wanted to make that early transfer when the fixtures go bad just before your wildcard. Perfect starting player. With our not quite final midfielder being Heung-min Son. He had the best season of his life last season in a Spursy shirt, and even though he might be in a Jose Mourinho bus parking non-attacking team, he can still get on all of them goals, also getting those extra clean sheet points to add to that too. He opens up to Everton at home, Southampton and Newcastle, then finishing the first 4 games against Man United. They might not be the most thrilling goal scoring games, but could be a very good option at the start for Son, where other players at his price are not as safe in terms of positions in their team, but also the fixtures aren't as good. With next to him, someone who loves a bit of showboating, someone who loves a bit of Gucci headbands. To finish the midfield, it's Alan Saint-Maximin. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of players this low price where you know they really aren't going to score like every game week, but for a few weeks punt, he's not too bad, with him facing West Ham and Brighton in the first 2 games. Even one return in either of those games with his low price could be a good enough payoff, where then you could maybe look at someone else, or just keep the sexy skiller if he carries on playing well. But lads, if this midfield wasn't good enough, then we can make it better. We need some more goals. We need to add just a little bit of extra seasoning to add those extra Galassos. And what better way to start than with Chelsea's new signing, Timo Werner. Just the casual 28 goals and 8 assists in his 34 league games last season, no biggie. And also could be the penalty kick taker for Chelsea this season. What I like about Werner is that even though he can play as an out-and-out striker, he can also play on the wing or as a second striker as well, meaning if the recipe has to change, he can still be one of Lampard's ingredients in that attack. His price tag might be off-putting, but Brighton, West Brom and Palace in the first 4 could be a very good way to ease him into it. And if it doesn't work, you can use his money to get other great options. With one of them options being so good, he's starting in my team. To finish my team being Daddy Ings. The Mr. Daddy himself netted all of 22 goals last season in the Premier League and could continue to take pens like he recently started to do at the end of the season, opening up to Palace, Spurs, Burnley and West Brom in the first 4, which could be quite tight, but if Southampton are to score, could be a Daddy Ings to score. It's also a possibility he could match or even better his scoring from last season, with Southampton ending the season looking like one of the best teams and in one of the best forms. So I reckon he could do it. And that is my team, the Game Week 1 to Game Week 4 draft, where actually I've saved 0.5 mil in the bank if you don't fancy any of these players as well, which could be used to upgrade like a Reece James to a Tierney, Justin to Dyer, or even wait to make Son or Rashford when he has a game. Now most of these players are guaranteed to play and have a very high chance of returning something in the first 4 weeks, but also some of them are quite risky, but then ones are the higher payoff, such as Reece James. But remember, our terms and conditions apply with him, see if he actually plays. Wildcarding in Game Week 4 could and maybe should be in your consideration right from the start, even if you're not going to do it, where maybe that's how long you wait to get in some of the blank Game Week players. Or you could use that international break to really analyse the players and go for the best ones based on form. But even if you set up in this way, doesn't mean you have to wildcard into Game Week 5, where you could even wait till the next international break to see if any of the new signings have actually gelled well after the transfer window fully closes. So remember, I'm telling and showing you this because most of the experts usually plan their wildcard way before they're actually going to do it to ensure they always have a great team ready to go. So thanks for watching this draft. Let me know when you plan on using your wildcard if you have a plan, or if you just fancy using it when you really want to change your team. But also, remember,
don't be a cheeky scrub. Subscribe to Nathan Bacon right now.